Let the games begin. CeeDee Lamb is preparing for a holdout, and fans are preparing to lose their minds, especially after news that Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles just received a 3-year extension worth $75 million and $51 million guaranteed. CeeDee Lamb's looming holdout from the Dallas Cowboys training camp is top of everyone's mind, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't think that y'all have anything to worry about, because I'm going to say this. If the Cowboys choose to press the reset button right now, at this very moment, with the roster they currently have, and we're about to take a deeper look at this stuff, and I'm about to show y'all exactly why it's so damn silly that everyone thinks the Cowboys are about to rebuild. That is the furthest thing from what's about to happen with the Dallas Cowboys. And I want to make sure that you guys understand, by the time you finish watching this video, you will see that if they do in fact press the reset button right now at this very moment, then this is them telling us blatantly they care nothing about winning. They care nothing about trying to contend or anything, because it doesn't make sense. From a team building perspective, the Cowboys are actually in the perfect position right now. Now, obviously, the Cowboys are getting back to their spring training programs, and CeeDee Lamb is not going to be there, and we shouldn't expect him to be there. For one, it's voluntary. They're not actually forced to be there just yet, but even so, I think that all these guys should honestly hold out for their contract. Tyron Smith proved last season for us. I don't care what nobody says. Some of these guys may be better off without practicing, because we would avoid shadow injuries like the one that happened to Trayvon Diggs. But I'm going to tell you why Cowboys fans should have nothing to worry about, and I don't think the Cowboys are about to make this huge mistake that everyone is proposing and that the media is going to make this out to be. Brace yourself, it's going to happen very soon. I'm telling you right now. If you take a look at the Dallas Cowboys roster right now, for those of you who really think that they're going to rebuild, I'm going to tell you right now, just with common sense, logic, business, team building, any sense of competing in sports, why none of that makes sense. The Cowboys roster is consisted of guys that are either in their early 20s or mid 20s, and all of their best players are pretty much 25 or younger. The oldest guys on the offensive side of the ball are Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush. Your two quarterbacks, you want them to be a little bit older. You want them to have seen a little bit more in the NFL. You want them to be a little bit more battle tested. Regardless of what you guys may be under the illusion of thinking, you've seen CJ Stroud, you've seen Joe Burrow, you've seen Dak Prescott, and you think that rookies are supposed to come in and rule the league. No. What has happened to Joe Burrow since he's come in? What's happened to all the #1 picks, essentially, since they've come in? After that Super Bowl run, the Bengals have come back down to earth, and Joe Burrow's having to go through a learning curve. Even when he did play last season, he didn't look great all season. And y'all can give him the injury excuse if you want. Then in that case, when Dak hasn't looked good, specifically a couple seasons ago, he had a broken thumb. So I'm going to give him that excuse if you want to pull the excuse out for Joe Burrow. I'm just going to say that right now. And remember, Dak also played with the same calf injury Joe Burrow had as well. So we can play the injury game if we want, but if we just keeping the facts to facts, yes, they made it to the Super Bowl in that miraculous run. If you go back and look at the defense, really carried a lot of that weight. I'm just saying. But it's not normal for rookies to come in and instantly just run the league. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. And it's very rare you get a quarterback in general who's going to come in and actually stick in the NFL. But back to the point, the oldest players on your offense are Zach Martin, Dak Prescott, and Cooper Rush, and Brandon Cooks. Those are the only 30-year-olds on your offense, guys. Everyone else that's actually contributing on the field is 26 years or younger. On the defensive side of the ball, the oldest guys on the defensive side of the ball are CJ Goodwin, he's special teams mainly, Eric Kendricks, we just signed him, Carl Davis Jr., he's a backup defensive tackle, and DeMarcus Lawrence, he's essentially our veteran on the defense. Everyone else that's vital to the defense and the future of a team, if you're team building, if you just take the names off of it, just remove everyone's name off of this, remove the star, remove that we're talking about the Cowboys, just look at it like you're on Madden and you're on a creative team and you're trying to get your team together. You tell me, are you rebuilding or are you keeping it together and just plugging and playing, trying to draft well and trying to sign low budget free agents that'll fit into the pieces of the puzzle? Everyone else that is vital to the success of your team is essentially 25 years or younger. Everyone that's going to be here for a long-term time is 25 years or younger on the defense. Keep in mind, that includes a number 8 rated tight end out of the entire NFL. So you have a top 10 tight end essentially graded by PFF. I don't put a whole lot of stock into PFF, but it is one of the more used grading sites even by some of the bigger networks and stuff like that. So we're going to use that for right now. So you have a number 8 tight end in Jake Ferguson on offense. You have the number 6 graded wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb on offense. You have the number 4 graded quarterback on offense. You have a top 5 offensive guard on both sides, left guard and right guard, with Zach Martin and Tyler Smith. So that's your offensive line, your quarterback, receiver, tight end on offense. They're all essentially 26 years or younger guys, outside of Zach Martin and Dak is just now entering his prime as a quarterback. 30s, when you get to that 30 to 35 range, that is a quarterback's prime, especially when it's a more of a pocket cerebral quarterback. That is usually their prime years. Okay, so all of your young guys on offense are your best players and the top 6 to 8 players at their position in the league, regardless of how you want to look at it. And then you have guys on defense. You have a guy on defensive line, 2 corners in your secondary. They're all going to be top 5 in their position as well. What sense would it make to rebuild? This is why I am not worried about anything coming out about the Cowboys, about these guys holding out, about any of that, because it doesn't make sense to rebuild. It doesn't make sense to start over when you have all of these top guys, not just on your team, but you have some of the best guys at their position groups, at some of the most important position groups: quarterback, receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, secondary players, all top 5 guys at their position, top 5 to 6 guys at their position, top 10 minimum. No matter how you want to slice it, top 10 minimum at all of their positions. All 26 years or younger outside of the quarterback, and the quarterback is still entering his prime at the same age the other guys in their positions should be entering their prime. Receivers should be entering their prime between 26 and 30. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense right now to start over. It doesn't make sense to rebuild. It doesn't make sense to do any of the things that a lot of people have been suggesting, and that's why I have not entertained any of that dialogue, because it doesn't make sense. Put my fanhood of Dak aside, put all of that aside right now. At this moment, when you have a quarterback that's just now starting to show, he just reached a new height in his career. That means he's just now starting to peak. He's just now starting to peak, guys. Just now. That was his first year in an offense, mind you. First year in an offense. Everybody else gets excuses for playing their first year in offense because they look terrible. That was his first year in an offense, and he almost played to an MVP level. So, no, I don't think we should be worried about holdouts. We don't need to be worried about any of that stuff, because, yes, these guys may hold out, but they may need to, because I don't need guys going down with shadow injuries like Trevon. I don't need these dudes getting hurt off of silly stuff, non-contact injuries and stuff. I don't need to lose some of these guys, man. We don't. We need everyone healthy and ready for the season, because we're going to need all hands on deck, because there's going to be a lot of people who's going to have to really show and prove. And at this point, the Cowboys are in their position where they have their core players. That's why they can't add anything else, guys. They have their core players. They have a quarterback, they have a receiver 1, they have a tight end of the future, they have 2 guys on the offensive line that's going to anchor both sides of your line, essentially. That's meaning best type of guys in the league, so they're anchoring both sides of your line. You have a guy on the defensive line level, you have a guys in the secondary. They have all their core pieces. All they can do now is draft and replace. That's really all they can do if you want to keep that core together to compete for long term. That's literally all they can do. So that's really the truth about the Cowboys, and that's the huge mistake. If they were to start over right now, that's the huge mistake, because what are the chances? What are the chances? Tell me. What are the chances of a team getting top 5 to 6 guys like we just named in each position group at each level of the offense and defense, and they're just missing a couple pieces? Interior D-line, linebacker, you know, running back, offensive line, a couple offensive line pieces, the center spot, tackle spots. Just a couple pieces here and there that they really need to plug in that are very, very important, but they have the core. So all this dialogue about starting over and all that other stuff, it just doesn't make sense. And we only talking about it because at the end of the day, we still the same old damn Cowboys, and we still the same old Cowboys fans.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the boy? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.